Welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy you're here this week. If you are listening in the real time, it is the middle of August, and I am happy to report my kids started back to school this week. The oldest is in middle school for the first time. He just got assigned a viola as his instrument and a locker and learning how to open the locker. I think I had to Google it. It's YouTube it. Reminding how to use one of those, what are the words? The locks with the numbers on them. I can't even think of what it's called. So much fun. And then the younger two started back first and third. So, you know what it's like. They're starting school and wondering which friends are in their class and which friends aren't and what it's going to be like. It's such a fun time of year. I have to say, I thrived this summer. It wasn't just survival mode, although I know for sure at times it felt like survival mode. Might be like that for you too. There were points at time in the summer. In fact, next week you'll hear an interview with one of my clients and a fellow mom, and we were talking about just, kids and work. I think I told her that I felt like a part-time mom because I had the kids in camp a lot this summer. Just trying to give us all space from each other, give them something to, stimulate their brain or their body, whatever the case may be in the terms of what the camp was all about. But anyway, I'm not a part-time mom. It was a little cringeworthy. I still regret saying that a little bit. You'll hear the whole conversation next week. But I kind of, love my space as well. So I'm happy they're back at school and we're in a routine and, just a different moving into the fall. So whether you're starting back to school or just wrapping up this summer and hopefully have had some amazing vacations, today I want to talk with you about something that you can be implementing now to really impact the rest of your year. So probably coming up for air and ready to be thinking about the remainder of the year, Q3, Q4, and I want to help you with a strategy for that. So that's what we're talking about today. I'm calling it the quick hit business development strategy. It was incredibly impactful for one of my clients. I know she listens every Saturday, so shout out to her when she's listening. But I want to share this with you as well to really start thinking about how to make an impact for your business, your revenue for the remainder of the year, and really set yourself up for some growth next year in the direction where you want to take your business. So with that, that's what we're talking about today, what I'm calling the quick hit business development strategy. And like I said, this is something that can make all the difference for you between now and the end of this year, and quite frankly, set you up for a very powerful year next year as you think about that revenue and the types of clients you're lining up and so on. So I'll tell you what this quick hit strategy is here in a moment, but I just want to share with you the client that's really inspired this episode. She and I were working on her goals for the remainder of the year. She wasn't quite where she wanted to be financially and was worried because typically the lead times for her to sell new business are a little bit longer. The engagements are longer. And so the payments that come in and the cash flow that come in can be spread out over the course of 6 months or 12 months. And you may be in the same position where you're thinking, wow, it's almost, it's the middle of August or whenever you're listening to this, I've really only got a few more months before the holidays. And it feels like a pretty short window here to generate any impactful revenue for the remainder of this year. And so that's why, as I share this particular strategy with you, why it can be so meaningful for you and your business. In fact, this particular client really took this the coaching that we did a couple of weeks ago. We came up with this strategy for her business, and she was able really to hit the ground running and fill up her pipeline with this strategy very quickly, very quickly. So that's what I want to share with you today so that it can also make an impact for you in your business. All right, let's make this year, there's no reason to write off this year, obviously. We've still got a lot of time. Even if your sales cycles are longer, even if your time to cash flow, and collecting receivables from a client is a little bit longer, let's put this strategy in place so that you're not waiting on those types of things to bring in more money into your business. So today we're going to focus on 4 things. Here's our agenda. We're going to talk about what is this quick hit strategy that I've been teasing here a little bit. I'll tell you exactly what it is very succinctly. Then I'll talk with you about why implement this in your business. What are the advantages? Even if you're not trying to fill a revenue gap or kind of push through some more revenue in a more urgent way right now, this is a very important strategy that you can add to your tool belt that will help you to set yourself up for next year as we start looking ahead. And then the third thing we're going to talk about is why might you not, what I'm going to tell you is a great, powerful strategy, but it's not earth shattering. You've probably thought about it or even implemented it at different times in the past in your business, or even when you were in corporate in some form or fashion. So this isn't revolutionary by any means, but so from that perspective, you've probably thought about this before and just haven't thought about it recently, or it hasn't even crossed your mind that it might be something important to consider. And so I want to talk with you about why you might be kind of blocking it from implementing or coming naturally to you, because that part is incredibly important, like digging under the covers about why might you not have already been putting this into practice so that you're aware of that and then ultimately can move forward. If we don't touch on that, then you're going to be spinning your wheels. And then the last thing that I'll share with you today is how to make this strategy successful. So those are the 4 things we're going to cover. This one should hopefully be a quick hit podcast as well, too. That's my goal. Okay, so before we get started, if you haven't done it already, go fill out and take the IC assessments that I've created for you. I've got 2 of them, the Independent Consultant Business Recession Assessment and the Independent Consultant Business Scaling Assessment. I've been getting such great feedback about how clear and crisp the questions are to help you really hone in on these 2 critical aspects of your business. Planning for the recession. We may already be in the recession, so this is a perfect time to be doing this. Go look at and assess your business as it relates to these 4 key areas that I've defined for you and your business, and making sure that it's shored up from a recession perspective. And quite frankly, you're turning the recession into an advantage for you versus an obstacle. And the second one is the scaling assessment. The scaling does not mean you have to build a huge team or you need to create a complicated business. You may want to build a larger agency type of model, or you may not. But in either case, the ability to scale relies on 5 important pillars that in your business. And I walk you through each of those in just 26 quick questions. That was hard to say. 26 quick hitting questions, and then it'll give you a prioritized plan so that you're able to scale your business. And by that, I mean you're growing your business by way of revenue, by way of profit, by way of impact, and you're able to do it in a more simple way, in a way that's easy for you to deliver. So I want to make sure that you've got that plan as well. So you can go to icscorecard.com and take that scaling assessment. Okay, my friend, now that we've got that underway and you have it on your to-do list to go take those assessments so that you've got some more clarity around your business, let's dive into this quick hit business development strategy that I told you about, that we're going to talk about today. Simply put, the quick hit business development strategy is you taking on short-term engagements that have a shorter sales cycle and immediate revenue impact. Let me say that definition again. The quick hit business development strategy is a strategy that you add into your business where you're selling short-term engagements that have a shorter sales cycle and immediate revenue impact. So some examples of what a quick hit might be. It could be executive coaching in your discipline. Like, let's say that you are an HR consultant. You could offer, you're talking with HR executives all day long. You could offer executive coaching to their organization as an additional offering, an extension to what you're already doing. It's so much, I can tell you, because I do this a lot, selling executive coaching to corporate, those types of engagements are incredibly quick turnaround, and you can charge upfront in full for that type of business. And it's really fun to be able to work with, I'll tell you from experience, it's so much fun working one-on-one with people and helping them impact their daily life, impact their career trajectory, impact the results that they're seeing. And ultimately, it's a waterfall effect, right? There, it's also impacting their teams. So this is something that can be incredibly easy from a quick hit strategy perspective. Another example of a quick hit strategy perspective is going back through your past client roster and seeing, who have I worked with in the past, haven't worked with them in a while. Do they proposing some type of a touch up or a refresher? For example, you might be a Six Sigma type consultant, and you worked with clients and getting their processes, really dialed in. And I guarantee once you walked away, there's probably some bastardization going on in terms of what they had intended to be doing versus the actual in practice. And so you going back and helping them with proposing a touch up, figuring out, okay, let me come in and do a quick hit assessment and figure out where things are working really well. Let's build upon that. Where things might not be working the way you intended, and let's identify those so the problem doesn't get bigger, doesn't grow. So that's a great example of a quick hit business development strategy. Another example would be proposing a follow-on project with a former client. So you may have done work for a client in the past, created a strategy for them perhaps, and it's on the shelf. It's on the shelf. It happens where we create an amazing strategy and then it gets deferred or delayed. And so you helping them come in and get that off the ground again as an example of a follow-on project can be incredibly valuable. Another example might be facilitating 1 or 2 day strategy sessions, such as planning for the next year. I know it's only August if you're listening to this in the real time, but quite frankly, most companies start I won't say most, some more disciplined companies start planning now for next year. They start budgeting now for next year. They start thinking ahead now for next year because of how many cycles it takes to get everyone on the same page, right? And so you going in and either helping them to facilitate what they're already doing, if they're more disciplined, or you going in and saying, you know what, I know that you defer this every year and really regret it when it becomes December or January and you realize another year has gone by and you don't have the plans that you wanted to have in place. Let me help you walk through a process and a framework to get you to exactly where you want to be so you're ahead of the game and are leveraging these valuable resources that you've got in the most effective way. You similarly, because we are, toward the latter middle part of the year, you could be offering them mid-year reviews or assessments, workshops or facilitated sessions to really look at where are we at right now relative to our goals and what can we be doing, we being your client, to make an impact for the rest of the year. Just like I'm saying to you right now on this podcast, here's a strategy you can put in place to impact the rest of the year and set yourself up for success for next year. You could be offering the same type of thing in the form of an assessment or in the form of a workshop or in the form of a review of some kind to your clients, your corporate clients, in order for them to make sure that they're hitting all of the goals that they had set forth at the beginning of this year. So that is what the quick win strategy is, the quick hit strategy is, and several examples for you to make it tangible. So hopefully I've got your brain running here, thinking about ways you could implement this strategy. So again, what is the benefit of this strategy for you? Hopefully it's already very clear, but I also want to just be very explicit that not only there's really three main impacts to you implementing this strategy. It will have an impact to your 2022 revenue for sure, especially if you get started now. So that's great news, right? More revenue this year, and highly profitable revenue because your sales cycle is short. These are typically very simple engagements, so your costs attached to them should be very negligible. So it's highly profitable revenue as well. And then the other thing that this benefits you in is that this is a method, even if a given client doesn't proceed forward with the particular engagement you might be proposing to them, you've already got those conversations started for next year. They may want something more involved from you, but you talking about this now and implementing these quick hits can really help you to get more line of sight into your 2023 pipeline. So if you're listening to this in the real time, next year is 2023. If this is in the future, just think about it for next year, what your pipeline looks like. This is such a great way to get that pipeline filled up for next year and also make yourself some revenue impact for the remainder of this year. I mean, think about it. If you start having these more strategic conversations now, help your clients plan for next year, budget for next year, set strategy for next year. When they go to budget all of the costs and investments they want to be making for next year, you're the consultant who set themselves up to be in that budget. That's a great place to be. You want to be the consultant who's in the budget. So that's another great outcome of this strategy, is not only the quick hit potentially for your revenue, but also you starting that dialogue early and essentially writing yourself into their budget. And then thirdly, this is also really important. This type of a strategy, this quick hit strategy, gives you the opportunity to experiment with something new, with something maybe slightly different than what you've been offering thus far. So for example, you might want to be experimenting with adding retainers into your business or some form of advisory services. This is a great way to do that, where you just say, look, I've got two slots. I've got two spots for retainer work, and really going out to fill those up between, from now to the end of the year. And experimenting with, do you like doing that type of retainer work? What types of challenges come up with that kind of retainer work? What about it is amazing? And just really experimenting with it versus feeling like, oh no, I'm going to have to completely shift my business model, or making it much more serious. This is a great way to say, you know what, this is just a quick hit. And so I'm going to experiment with it, and I'm not like locking myself down forever. So that's more of a intangible benefit, but can be incredibly powerful for you as your business model hopefully is continuing to evolve and improve and align to what it is you want to be doing in the way you want to be doing it with the types of clients you want to be working with. So that's an incredibly helpful outcome as well. Okay, so now let's talk about, why haven't you already done this? Like I said, I'm not giving you some revolutionary idea here to go get some quick wins or a quick hit here, right? This is not revolutionary, but a lot of times when I was explaining that particular client that I was working with who inspired this episode, and other clients that I've talked about with it's just kind of like a little bit of amnesia. Oh, that's such a great idea. I haven't thought about doing that in a while, or that just didn't cross. I know for sure to do this, or I would probably tell my own clients to do this. It just hasn't crossed my own mind about my own business. That happens to us so often as independent consultants. The cobbler has no shoes, right? Cobbler's children have no shoes. So you would probably be recommending the same thing to your own clients. So if it isn't a revolutionary idea, and I'm reminding you of something that you're probably saying, oh, right, I already know this. I already know to do this. I'm just not doing it. Then the question becomes, why haven't you done it? Either ever or recently, or maybe it's even on your radar and you just haven't done it yet. So the 4 main reasons why I find clients haven't done this yet that I wanted to share with you today, so that you're really aware about what might be blocking you kind of under the covers, what might be holding you back from putting this type of thing in place, because the awareness is so important to know, oh, right, that's what's holding me back. That will, being able to be aware and then release that helps you to move forward. So here are the 4 main reasons I often find that really hold consultants back from implementing that quick win type strategy, a quick hit type strategy, whatever you want to call it. The first of those 4 is these things that we were just talking about are easy. They can be incredibly easy, simple, however you want to look at it. And a lot of times as consultants, as independent consulting business owners, we value things that are complicated. We value things that are complex. Sometimes we think our reputation is attached to how complicated or complex something is. So when we do something that's easy, or we pursue a strategy that's easy, somehow we equate it in our mind to it's less valuable, or it's kind of reputationally damaging because it's not as complicated as other things. So just be aware if you're doing that and discounting or writing off that type of quick win strategy, because under the covers, you think that it's not as valuable. Let me just tell you, the money in your bank account and the value of your pipeline and the fun you may be having when you're doing something kind of more nimble and easy for you to deliver, where it's not just weighing down on your energy all the time, those are very valuable. Complex and complicated are not always valuable. In fact, they could be the very opposite of valuable, depending on where you're at with your business. So that's the first thing that might be holding you back here, is just thinking really subconsciously that it's too easy, and so therefore it's not as valuable. The second of the 4 most common reasons why you might not have implemented this type of quick hit or quick win strategy is that almost you feel like it's cheating. It's like, oh, I could go sell. I've talked with clients about this before. They're like, well, I could go sell this, 1-day strategy workshop all day long, but I'm doing this other thing instead. Well, why aren't you selling the 1-day strategy? And then as we pull back the onion, it's like, it feels like it's cheating. It should be harder, right? Kind of a offshoot of us valuing the complex and the complicated. A lot of times when we think this thing is wrong, like it should be harder, it should be more complex, it should be with more complicated clients, and there's some quote unquote right way to sell the business that you offer, you end up just counting out this type of quick win without ever even really contemplating it. So if it feels like kind of cheating to you and you're trying to do things the right way by having, a 4-month or 6-month sales cycle, this is such an important thing to take a step back and say, you know what? There is no quote unquote right way. The best way is, how do I get in front of clients who want to work with me, who I love solving problems for? And even if it's only for 1 day or a week to do an engagement, that can be right, quote unquote, right as well. And you're not cheating on your business It's kind of like your regular offering, whatever you do most of the time for most of your clients. You don't want to quote unquote cheat on it and offer this other type of service that might not necessarily follow all the rules you've created for yourself. So that's the second reason why I find a lot of times consultants don't go down this very obvious path, is that in some ways it feels like it's cheating. You make it harder on yourself to jump through all these hoops when in fact it could be incredibly simple. The third reason why I find oftentimes consulting business owners don't implement a quick hit strategy is that we have some idea of these prerequisites that we need to accomplish first. So some idea, like, let me give you an example. You may be saying to yourself, I really want to get to retainer-based work or advisory type work, or even the executive coaching that I was mentioning. But somehow in your mind, you feel like you haven't earned the right to do that yet. I don't know what the rules might be that you've created in your mind. It could be things like, I don't have enough of these regular projects under my belt, or I haven't been a consultant long enough, or I haven't run my own business for long enough. Or I should do this type of engagement first multiple times before I do that type of engagement. Ask yourself, what are these like unstated rules or prerequisites that you've created for yourself that aren't even true? You could go do you may not have had a coaching curriculum, or you might not have a coaching program, for example. But you could go do executive coaching because you've been someone who worked in the discipline, for example, that you're helping others with. You've had real life experience. You might be in a situation where for some reason you don't feel like you're able to facilitate a room of C-level decision makers. And so therefore you wouldn't propose a strategy workshop. But when you pull back the layers, we realize you've done that so many times in the past in different ways, whether you were working in your own business or in corporate. It's these ideas of these unstated rules or prerequisites of rules you've given yourself that we've got to really be able to question and figure out, why are you putting that kind of structure in place for yourself? Holding yourself back as a result of it. Tear those down, dismantle those types of rules you've given yourself, because quite honestly, 99 times out of 100, those rules are simply in place to protect you from doing things that are uncomfortable, that you're fully capable of doing and being successful at. They're just a little bit scary. And so we put all these other kind of fake rules in place as a result of just trying to keep ourselves out of that fear zone, right? So that's the third reason why you might not have done this yet, this being the quick win strategy. And then finally, it all comes down to this. It always does in some way: fear of rejection. Why haven't you done this yet? It's probably something new. A quick win strategy. You probably haven't done it in the form or fashion, perhaps, that I'm offering to you today. And so it's something new. Someone might say no to you. They're going to say no to you anyway. You getting no, or you getting ghosted, or you getting maybe later, or people not even responding to you at all. That happens. You're a business owner. If that's not happening to you, I submit to you that you've got a problem. If you're out there landing every deal, really, have an incredibly high close rate, for example, then I think it's very likely, I'll say it that way, it's very likely you're not pushing yourself far enough. Perhaps your rates aren't high enough to be commensurate with the value that you're delivering. Perhaps you're not going after those more complicated projects. So fear of rejection is so often comes into play in our business because in our mind, we think we're selling ourselves. We're really selling a result or an outcome to a client, but we attach ourselves to it. And it's scary and it feels bad, but that's no reason to just avoid it. So for you, ask yourself why. I know that a quick hit plan is really impactful for my business. Why haven't I done it yet? You may say to yourself, I would advise my own clients to do something like this. Why haven't I done it for my own business yet? And really uncover the true reason that might be holding you back, so that you have that level of awareness and then can apply the most effective tool to get yourself out of that particular blocker. All right. So let's wrap up today with talking about how to put this quick hit strategy into action for your business. The first step is to be aware of those mental blockers. What might be holding you back, so that you can at least open up the possibility for yourself that this strategy could be effective. Acknowledge, okay, I might be afraid, or I might not think I'm quite ready yet, but I'm going to move forward and pursue this anyway. And when you get to that state, then stop and ask and answer yourself some high quality business owner questions. So I'll give you 5 of those to get started with. Number 1, who are the top 3 clients that you would love to work with in some form or fashion? And it could be former clients or brand new clients or some combination of both. Who would those clients be? Who do you know at those potential clients? And what might the most kind of immediate, highest impact problem that they could be facing right now be? That's number 1. Get yourself that top 3 list. Number 2, what's my lowest hanging fruit here in my business? A lot of times when I ask this question, it just unlocks for the business owner, oh, I completely forgot about that one conversation I was having 2 months ago. I should go pick that back up again with a potential client. Or I haven't, pursued a client who said not right now, and just revisited with that individual. Or I have these amazing people in my network and I haven't talked to them lately. I know if I picked up the phone, they would most likely have some kind of work that they would encourage me to pursue, introduce me to pursue, whatever the case may be. So that's the second question. What's my lowest hanging fruit? Third question, if I needed to make X number of dollars right now, let's just say it was 50K. If I needed to make 50K right now, how would I do it? Put some pressure on yourself. If I needed to make 50K right now, or else XYZ would happen, how would I do that? Sometimes when you put that type of urgency on yourself, it unlocks really good ideas that might not have come otherwise. Fourth question, what's something I've been wanting to try but have put on the back burner? That speaks to, experimenting with other offerings that you might have been thinking about, but just haven't pulled the trigger on. Go figure out what those might be and decide that you're giving yourself permission to pursue them now. And then fifth, the fifth question, why would my ideal client care about fill in the blank right now? Why would my next ideal client care about planning for next year right now? Why would my next ideal client care about, taking a mid-year assessment and planning type session right now? Why would my ideal client care about executive coaching right now? Whatever the case may be of what you're offering. Why would my ideal client care about a Six Sigma process review right now? Ask yourself that question and put it into context around this timing, where we're at in the year. And when you get the answers to these 5 questions, you'll start unlocking the strategy for yourself about where could you go find these quick wins. All right. So that's what I have for you today. I really encourage you, as we talked about at the beginning of this call, to go take that scalability assessment at icassessment.com. And also, if you're interested in learning more about what it's like to work with a private coach, me as your private coach, as a business, so that you can really transform from a consultant into a consulting business owner and improve your profitability, increase your revenue, increase the impact, and just have more joy and energy and fulfillment in your business. Reach out to me. I would love to talk with you and see if it's a good fit. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Really, the point of the call is to figure out for both of us if this would be the best step for you in your business. So you can find my calendar at consultmelissa.com. My name is spelled Melisa, one S. So consultmelissa.com. I appreciate you tuning in today, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care.